Our Democratic colleagues have not pointed to a single federal judge in the country who 100% of the time sentences child porn defendants to markedly below what the prosecution has recommended, unless you have a mandatory minimum and no ability to do so. In this case, you say comparable defendants are sentenced to 84 to 92 months. The sentencing guidelines by statute require you to have similarly situated defendants sentenced to similar sentences, but you don't sentence Chazen to 84 to 92 months. You sentenced him to 28 months. Why?
Senator, I've said what I'm going to say about these cases. No one case can stand in for a judge's entire record.
Okay, but I'm discussing every one of your cases. So if you're
understand
not going to
that.
explain it...
Senator, would you please let her respond?
No, not if she's not going to answer my
Well, if
question.
you're just going to give a speech, then you shouldn't engage in
And
questioning.
you are not taking my time. If you want to filibuster, you're welcome to do so, but do it
I
on your
would
own
at least
time.
give you an opportunity to speak, and you should give her an opportunity to respond.
If she wants to answer the question, I asked her why
Please
she
allow
sentenced...
her to answer the
I
question.
asked her why she sentenced Chazen to 28 months when comparable defendants, in
So
her
let's hear
own
the
words,
answer.
were sentenced to substantially higher, and she said she's not going to answer. Did you? I would welcome your
I didn't
answer,
hear that.
please.
Senator, I didn't say I'm not going to answer.
Okay, well,
I
then
said
please
my
tell us
answer.
in this case, Chazen, why did you sentence him to just 28 months?
Senator, you're looking at the record. I don't have the record here. What I will say is that in every case, I looked at the recommendations of not only the government, but also the probation office, the defendant, the record, the evidence. I took into account the seriousness of the offense. And
By the way, you know, one of the
ruled.
striking things in Chazen, the prosecutor comes in front of you and says, this is the prosecutor's argument at this point, and the prosecutor says, I understand from my experience before Your Honor's objection, policy objections, to the 2G2.2 sentencing guidelines. And he goes on to say, however, in this case in particular, the 4-point specific offense characteristic is justified because it contains sadomasochistic images of infants and toddlers. I'm trying to understand how you see someone that possesses images of infants and toddlers being sexually violated, and you sentence them to 64% below what the prosecutor is asking for. You don't provide a justification other than a generic concern that the guidelines are too high. You don't provide a justification as required by statute. So I'm asking you to take the opportunity to explain to this committee and the American people why in 100% of the cases you have people with vile crimes, and you have language saying they're vile crimes. But then you sentence them to very, very low sentences. And why do you consistently 100% of the time choose to do that?
Senator, no one case can stand in for a judge's entire sentencing record. I've sentenced more than 100 people. You have 8 or 9 cases in that chart.
Okay, Judge, you said that before. These are the 8 or 9 child porn cases. I will say, to correct the record,
I'd just say to the judge, there's no point in responding. He's going to interrupt you.
Thank you.
Look, I appreciate the chairman trying to filibuster, and if you don't like your witnesses' answers, you're welcome to provide your own. She is declining to answer the question, and Chairman Durbin, if you want to join her on the bench, you can. But Chairman Durbin,
my job is to make
Chairman
sure
Durbin, I'm not
questions are
interrupting
answered.
your questioning.
I'm asking you to give her a chance to answer.
But
You
she's
refuse to do
consistently
it.
said she's not going to answer. You have a pattern. It doesn't matter how egregious the case is. Senator Hawley talked about the Hawkins case, where you had an 18-year-old with pictures of boys as young as 8 being sexually assaulted and raped, and you sentenced him to just 3 months in jail. And I will point out the Stewart case, the last one on this list, because we're running out of time. The Stewart case, you describe that he had over 6,700 images and videos. So that's a lot, 6,700. That's a lot of kids
Time
being
expired,
sexually
Senator.
assaulted. You have taken over a minute of my time, Mr. Chairman.
You've been given extra time. You usually ask for it. You're given it.
Okay, I know you want to interrupt. I know you don't like this
I just want
line
you to
of
play by
question.
the rules.
I know you like to interrupt, but
I like
you've
you
consumed a
to play by the
substantial
rules,
question of my time of my questioning, and I'm going to ask my questions, and you can, if you
Senator-
want to testify, you're welcome to.
Senator,
Judge,
you play by the same rules as every other senator.
in the Stewart case, You said from the bench, thus, although this is not necessarily an atypical case, your child pornography possession crime was egregious in the court's view. Okay, so this is a bad one. If you're actually sentencing defendants, you said this was egregious. What did you sentence Stewart for? The guidelines said 97 to 121 months. Prosecutor said 97 months. You said it's egregious. 6,700 images. You come in with 57 months.
Time has expired.
Why
Senators
did
used
you
2
sentence
minutes
him to
over the
just
allotted.
57 months in the Stewart case? Do you want to address that? Because you're claiming it's cherry picking. In fact, you're welcome to explain any of these cases, but let's take the Stewart case. Why
Senator Coons,
did you sentence him for half the amount?
you're not recognized, Senator
Do
Coons.
you not want her to answer that question?
You wouldn't allow her anyway.
Mr. Chairman, she may answer the question. I've asked her why she sentenced Stewart.
You've
an
gone over the
egregious-
time, Senator, by 2 minutes
Why
and
she?
a half.
Because you've interrupted me for 2 minutes, Mr. Chairman. Will you allow her to answer the question, or do you not want the American people to hear why, with someone she described as an
You know, there
egregious
comes a point, Senator, where you get a little bit.
Chairman Durbin? Will you allow her to answer the question?
You won't allow her to answer.
I will happily allow her to. The question is
Senator
why
Cruz, you may
Thank you,
you
proceed.
sentenced
Chairman.
Stewart, an egregious child pornography possessor,
So,
to
Judge Jackson.
half of the amount
Please, Senator.
requested by the prosecutor.
Please, Senator.
Will you allow her to answer the question, Chairman Durbin?
Senator Coons.
Thank you.
Why are you not allowing her to answer the question? There's
You're
not
over
another
the time
senator
by
here
2.5
that you've not allowed her to answer the question.
You're finished.
I'm not asking another question, but allow her to answer the question, Chairman Durbin.
Thank you, Chairman
Why
Durbin.
do you not want the American people to know what happened in the Stewart case or any of these cases? Chairman Durbin, I've never seen the chairman refuse to allow a witness to answer a question. You can bang it as loud as you want.
Well, I can just tell you, at some point, you have to follow the rules.
Okay, will you let her answer the question? You've been interrupting, and by the way, with Senator Graham, it went 10 minutes over. You've
sure
taken a
did.
big chunk of the time. Will you allow her to answer the question?
You've given her.
Why
no
are you afraid of her?
opportunity to
She's
answer.
welcome to answer it right now. Will you let her?
Senator Coons.
Will you let? So no, you don't want her to answer the question?
Senator Coons.
Will you let her answer the question?
Chairman Durbin,
Apparently,
Judge
you are
Jackson.
very afraid of the American people hearing the answer to that question.
we here in